And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game called Gnomopolis. Now this is a really big box, and I wondered why this box was so big, but that's because inside this box there are some cups. This is a bag building game, well, pool building game, in which you have some gnomes and you're going to be pulling them from the cups and placing them on the board to do various actions. So many people played a deck building game like Dominion. This is the same type of thing, except you're pulling different colored gnomes from a bag. That's pretty much it. I tend to like these games a lot, so I was pretty pumped about this one. Let's take a look. There are 4 advisors that are used in every game, and then there's a deck of building cards, 6 of which are placed up here. Each player is going to get a cup with 6 workers, 4 workers, and 2 children, which are thrown into the cup. This is what you'll be pulling your workers out. You'll be randomly picking 3 of them to start the game and placing them in your active area. When it's your turn, you're going to be taking these people and placing them out on various spots on the board. And when you do that, you'll be able to use spots on your own board, or you'll be able to build more cards. So for example, I can put a green one here, which will change into a brown worker, except when I do this green one, it's going to be discarded. Now the game very carefully has you discard to this area over here, because this is the new capital, this is the ancient city, and when this side runs out, the game will end. So you can still take them from here if you need them. But then that would give me a brown worker in this area here. This is the exhausted area. These are workers who are tired. And maybe I'll put this guy here and get rid of him and switch him out for a red. Now I'll switch him out for a yellow. That's fantastic. And then this green one, there's nothing I can do with him really. However, I'll put him on my armadillo and move my armadillo to somebody else's property, where I will use the armadillo lets you use something on someone else's thing, and I'll use my green and get rid of him for another brown. That's it. Then I'll draw 3 of these at the end of my turn, which are 3 more brown. Put them here. I'll use them. So on my next turn, let's pretend I use 2 of these brown to place them on this card here. I'm going to build here the stabula. And when I put them here, I'll put these 2 guys here. When they're done, they'll go to the exhausted. And this will give me a green and a brown who will come to my active area. During the game, I can put a brown here, get rid of him to take 2 victory points. So there's all kinds of various things that you can do with these different building cards. Get rid of a brown to get 2 victory points. Use a green to get 2 victory points. Get rid of a yellow to take 3 of your choice. Get rid of a brown to pull 2 out of the cup. Get rid of a blue, use a blue to get a victory point, and then take 1 of your choice from the cup. And use a green here to draw another one from the cup. Now these cards are important for that reason. They not only let you use people to get more, but the first person to get buildings of the different types will take this card, the advisor card. So this is the one of the different 4 types of buildings. And now you'll get some victory points, and also you have another special ability that you can use. And so there's all sorts of things that you'll be able, these will kind of modify what's going to go on. Now the game is going to end when all the workers are out of that city, out of the old city and into the new. When that happens, players are going to be scoring points. You'll have been scoring points over the course of the game, but at the end of the game, each of your areas here can hold different people. So let's say, for example, at the end of the game, I have, for example, these, and I have these 3 cards. Well, the red one and the yellow one can go here, and that's going to get me 2 points for each. I don't have any spots that can hold brown people, so I'm going to lose a point for each of these. So you want to get cards. I'll have wanted to look for cards in here that will, this one, a brown and a red can go there. So that would have been a good one. I'm trying to get cards that will hold the different people or upgrade the people that I do have to get the colors that will fit into the buildings that I'm building. There's a few other things that are in the game. There's some of these golems that you can get. These are basically wild workers, but they're also one-time use. And this piece, will be moving around kind of in a clockwise direction at different people's areas if you want to use them. That's it. Most points, winner. So the box is really big, like I said, but that's because it that fits these cups right into this plastic insert. That's fine, but I really think this box is way too big for the way this game is. I know these cups look really neat and they could actually hold water, but the problem is the box could have been a lot smaller with bags, and pulling stuff out of a cup is not as easy as pulling it from a bag, especially for people who have massive paws like myself. The artwork on the cards is fine. I like taking a look at these different cards. It's pretty neat. They did a good job on that. But I challenge you to find anybody who, when you look at these and you say, what are these? I would imagine pretty much everyone in existence is going to say, these are rocket ships. Almost to the point where I wonder if they were rocket ships at some point. But they're gnomes, and that's fine. We got these pieces here for victory points, and 1s and 5s and 10s. They're okay. You know, the components for this are fine. I just think my biggest problem is just how big the box is. So sadly, even though I like this theme a lot, this one did not really work for me. And I guess I should explain why, because there's a lot of things about pulling it, and I should mention that I like these pool building games like Orleans and Altiplano, and there are games like this. And while this is a fairly simple one, 45 minutes, the simplicity doesn't bother me. I think what bothers me here is that the simplicity doesn't mean it's interesting. See, what happens is you take these workers and you put them down, and so every worker does the same type of thing. So when I take a look at this mat here, for example, green children are pretty much worthless in this game. And I should have mentioned, by the way, those brown workers I had, you have lots of room for them here in the main thing. So it's not the end of the world to be able to store them. And you can store some kids at the end of the game for points too. So I wouldn't have lost those points for the brown workers. I forgot about these. These are important. But the green children are pretty much worthless. You use them to turn them into workers. Workers are kind of worthless. You can use them to build buildings, but they're not going to get you much, and they don't do anything other than build buildings, and then you can change them to other colors. Each color is very specific. So let's start with the blue. The blue allows you to reach in the cup and pull any color you want. Great. But that doesn't make blue better. It just means I can pick the color I want. That's not that interesting. Yellow gives you 2 victory points. Yellow's good. Gray gives you the worker. Fine. That turns it into another color. That's kind of what blue did. And then red lets you pull 2 more from the cup, so red gives you an extra 1. None of them do anything particularly interesting. There's nothing about this game. This is draw 2. This is pick one of your choice. This is a wild. This is 2 victory points. That's it. The most interesting part of this game is that armadillo, or whatever the big beast of burden is that moves around. That's interesting to be able to use other people's things, but all the buildings do the same kind of thing. This building turns a green into a golem. This one turns a worker into 2 points and 2 golems. That's interesting. This one turns a golem into 2 victory points. This turns a gray worker, lets you pull 1 from the thing. And so many of them are kind of in the zone. So you're trying to pick interesting buildings, but you're also trying to pick buildings that your people will live in at the end. The game just drives like to a conclusion really quickly. The rule book says, you better hurry or you might not get to finish your engine. Yeah, but I want to finish my engine. I want to do something interesting. And this game just felt like I was doing the same things over and over. Change this for this, change this for this, change this for this, have room to store them. That's the game. There's no moment where it was like, ooh, look at that cool thing I just did. And that's kind of what I'm looking for in these games. There are basic deck builders out there. Dominion as an example, or Ascension. These are basic deck builders, so they keep trying to find new ways to make these things interesting. This one, the interesting thing I think about this game is, ooh, we're using a cup, and ooh, we have little cool gnome pieces to put in the cup. That's cool component-wise, but it doesn't make it an interesting game. It's just very, very similar to what we've already seen out there. And we played it, and I said, does anyone dislike it? And everyone's like, well, it's okay, but there's nothing to do. We just feel like you only get to pull 3 guys from your bag, and if you don't pull the colors, your turn is really boring. You just say, okay, I'll change this for this color, and I'll put this person here, your turn. And I get that not every game can have every turn to be exciting, but the majority of turns in Gnomopolis were not exciting. They were very mundane and boring. I really want to like this game, and I feel like it developed more. Maybe some of these buildings could have done some cool, interesting things. As it is right now, I can't really recommend it. Dice Tower Judgment, it's just a little boring.